This is what a pilgrim's albergue desayuno breakfast space looks like on Sunday morning before a day's walk. I've just had Sunday breakfast here. I didn't stay there last night. I stayed at a place nearby. But there's something magical about starting the day off with a pilgrim's breakfast. It's very simple: coffee, orange juice and toast with either tomato or marmalade something. Now, I need to be careful because there are two alternative routes from here, and I don't want to go up the wrong mountain. What a great start to the day. Only 131 kilometers to go and 7 walking days to get there. So after 10 walking days, I have walked, just working it out, 170 kilometers, so just 17 kilometers out on average a day, which is about my limit. Many pilgrims will walk 25, 30. Some Scottish lads I got pally with, they just for a challenge did a 40k day. Bonkers to me, but of course they have their own Camino, as we all do. So it is the 10th, or is it the 11th morning of walking, and I feel great. My legs and my feet feel great right now. The challenge to me is the last hour of the day, no matter how good it is, particularly if it's downhill. Surprisingly, I find it's very tough on my legs and knees. And yesterday I got very slow and nearly came to a halt after 6 hours walking. Anyway, on the positive side, I've just had the most lovely, simple pilgrim's breakfast in a cafe just on the edge of town. This is Tricastella in Galicia, if you want to look it up. And I was sat next to a young woman who I took to be about 16, I'm not kidding. And it turns out she was 38. Her name's Berlin, as in the city, she said. And she walked the whole Camino when she was 18, 20 years ago. I said, are you going to walk to Compostela, to Santiago for Easter Sunday, Semana Santa? She says it depends on the weather. I said, that's no attitude for a pilgrim. It should be despite the weather. But she said no, the forecast for the next week is very bad. So I'm in for a shower or two. And I must record, for those of you who wonder what it's like staying in a hostel, an auberge, mostly it's great. And last night's was a great place with only 8 beds, but one man who snored, and it was so bad. He was sleeping on his back, mouth open. I had to get out of bed, gone midnight, and rouse him with a smile, of course. He did not wake up, but miraculously he did stop snoring, and the rest of the night was uninterrupted. So I'm feeling bright as a button this morning, inexplicably, because I was really tired out yesterday after the walk. Enough talking, I'm doing some walking. a choice of paths from Tri Castella, where I stopped last night, the high road and the low road. Two paths diverged in the wood. I took the one least travelled, as the famous poem puts it, and I was glad of it, and I am glad of my choice, because the alternative was a trek up steep to Samos, where there is a monastery. So I'm missing out on the monastery, but I've got the natural monastery of this lovely stream and bridge. I've got the birds singing the Sunday choruses, and the babbling of the brook for the orchestra or the organ or the congregation, whichever. And this route is 7 kilometers shorter, which is very good news for me and my legs. Bridge over the stream, babbling brook, cows in the field beyond. There's an English word which doesn't sound right for its meaning. It's the sound of being sick to me, bucolic. But this is apparently a classic bucolic scene. And this is very good news. Below 130k this way. This is very unusual. It's like the leftover scenery and set of the last Easter weekend at the Camino outdoor performance of some religious epic. I'll just show you where we are. That's where we've come from, down in the valley. A bit of a rise, and that's where we're going. And that is very strange. Some views on the Camino take your breath away, and certainly takes my words away. Well, it's Sunday morning, it's 11 o'clock, and I've been walking for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and it must be coffee time, so there is no open bar or cafe. So on this occasion, I have had a machine cold cafe latte. And there's a nice map of the world. Where are you going to go next? And then dream it, now live it. I shall look that up. That could be the tagline to my first book, Future Perfect, Creating the Life You Want. And I don't want to brag, but it was because I wrote my book and then followed my own advice before I knew how to do it seriously that I am here now on the Camino. I have to say, just about 30 years later since that book was published and sold out, and here I am on a Sunday morning in the Semana Santa week, Holy Week, the start of anyway, drinking cold coffee from a machine in the Alps of Galicia. Cheers. It all starts with a thought. As my book suggests, see it, write it, speak it, do it. Bingo. Well, here is a little parable of the way being the Camino. I have just had the most delightful chat and coffee and cake and tangerine with a young couple, Sin and Alain. A young couple, well, young to me of course, in a corner of the building of a camper where they're offering free breakfast like the one in Astorga, before Astorga, which I've shown you and talked about earlier, just for donations. And if I hadn't had a shit coffee from the machine, I would have had more, but I did have a fresh coffee and cake, which was very nice, made a donation and chatted. And it's run, there are several places like this along the way. And we just said to each other, you know, everything is possible. You might add everything is possible with love, or whatever your mojo is, that's fine. But there's an immediate connection, a kindred spirit going on there. We immediately know where we're coming from, and it's completely devoid of any institutional religious background. And yes, the sort of old brigade might call this New Age, but even that's past its best before date. You wouldn't use the word New Age really since the 80s, I think. It's just how it is with a certain mindset, a certain group of people, isn't it? Probably those watching this, to be honest, we're not New Age, are we? We are Fresh Age. We're just livers on the way, on the Camino. And apparently it's owned by an Australian guy who's not there. He's making a podcast at the moment. But he has a website, and if I've remembered it correctly, 124 to go. I think it's called The Meaning of the Way, .com. If it's different, I'll change that in the description. That's I'm afraid, my short-term memory loss. But also, there was another sticker on the cold drinks machine where I had my stinky latte. I shouldn't. There's no need to be disparaging about it. I enjoyed my cold latte. There was a sticker with a website. I think it was called dreamitthentdoit.com. And gosh, it did take me back to both my book, Future Perfect, Creating the Life You Want, now sold out, I'm afraid, but also my very occasional 5 Paths course on Lanzarote, which is a wonderful thing, and I haven't done it for years, and it's sort of inspired me, prodded me to do that again. Perhaps, well, this year's already filling up, maybe next year, and then we run out of road, don't we? We run out of Camino. Here's my Camino friends. Hi, buen Camino. The professionals have got sticks, or palos as they're called. I've just been told off by a young couple who were click-clacking down the hill and overtook me and asked me did I want a stick, a palo, and I said no thank you. They said it's easier with sticks, and I didn't want to tell them, and it's true, because it just takes the pressure off the knees and on the downhill slope. So it's true. I didn't want to say I don't like the clicky clacky noise. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so sensitive to such things. If you're going to walk, walk. If you want to do some click clackiness, I don't know why it upsets me. Oh dear. Well, you can tell that little coffee shop stop and a little chat to those young people who are just serving the pilgrims really as they go by. And there was a nice meditation space and sofas. Ooh, nearly fell then. And then of course it crosses my mind, oh, I could do that, I could live here, I could do that. And it's true, as I say to anybody else, and I must say to myself, it's just a choice. I've got a very unkempt beard, and I am keeping it unkempt until I'm kempt again. You only use the word unkempt, don't you? You don't talk about having kempt hair. And suddenly the path opens up and there is a beautiful vista down the valley. There are two birds of prey of some sort, falcons I think, circling, doing a sort of dance, pied à trois, pied à deux. What's a pied à trois? I'm just doing a pied à trois. And look at this fabulous, gentle, downward, slopey thing. And yes, I could live here. Ah, my word. So joyful this morning. Look at that gate. I love that gate. What a fabulous gate. Somebody's gone to a lot of trouble to make it look like that. Ramshackle. Magic place behind us, town, Sierra, Saria, an anagram, and we're down to 123. Actually, I think it's going up. I don't know if you are tempted, but I'm certainly tempted to go that way to La Casa del Alchemista, the alchemical house, for tea, coffee, shelter, a temple and peace, with a lovely spiral, or this straight yellow line saying you must go this way on another 123 kilometers. But I know I've set out my bearings to go this way, and so I shall. But John Butler talks about the pull of the way. Now, it's something he's been taught, and John is a very good student of both the Anglican biblical tradition from his public school days, boarding school days, and daily prayers and hymns in the chapel at Rugby. Look at this lovely stone bridge over. Oh, it's wonderful. I could sit here and live as a ferryman for the rest of my life here, like Siddhartha. And he was a very diligent student of the teacher at the London School of Meditation, which he went to when he was 26 for about 20 years. Respect. I mean, he had a farm and animals to look after, but he kept the train. I have to watch my feet carefully. I don't want to twist an ankle at this stage here. Talking and walking is a big challenge for me now. And yes, so he'd feed his animals first thing in the morning in his farm in Bakewell. And then hop on the milk train to London, do an hour with his mentor or his teacher or his guru, or sit in a class, or do his, present his homework, whatever, his assessment. This is in the very early days. I'll tell you when this was. This was actually contemporaneously. This is the early 60s, when the Beatles went to sit and meditate at the feet of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in India, which of course attracted a lot of attention. And everybody started wearing multicoloured kaftans like the Beatles. John didn't, of course. He's a farmer. It would have been a bit odd wearing a multicoloured kaftan, tending his flock, I think. Anyway, I digress. He was a very good student of the way, which in the London School of Meditation, and not many people who watch John's videos appreciate this, it was in the tradition of what's called Shankaracharya, which is pure Advaita. Now, it's taken me 6 or 7 years to suss out or to appreciate what the lineage of John's, I won't say philosophy or theology, or certainly not theology, or even spiritual practices. It's a sort of, as they say on the pilgrim's menu here, it's a platos combinados. It's a mixture of things. Well, you knew that from watching John's videos, didn't you? But this particular strand from Shankaracharya, we're talking something like the 15th century in India, I think, an ancient tradition of what is called Advaita in Indian philosophy. Or you and I might be more familiar with the term non-duality, which I've always felt is clumsy. I'm not a fan of things that are that start with non. Non-stick. Only a short uphill stretch and I'm panting like a dog. So why don't I pause a moment by this lovely old tree, which is in leaf? I shall. And just finish this little homage. So, John was a diligent student of Advaita, non-duality, and it shines through his books and his poems and his videos, of course, which you've seen. And this expression, the call of the way, is of course particularly appropriate, seeing as we are on the Camino de Santiago, which is also called The Way, and Martin Sheen, the American actor, stars in, with his son actually, as his son, as an American go-getting sort of business person, professional man. But his son, spoiler alert, his son dies on the Camino, and so in mourning really, or in homage, or in celebration, whichever, in deep mourning for his lost son, Martin Sheen, I've forgotten his name in the film, he walks the whole length of the Camino, and the film is called The Way. And I'm grateful to my elder brother Rob for gifting me that, and I've watched that several times. Not before I came out this time, actually. That's I could have done that. But coming back to the point, there was a choice in the road there, just back behind us now, to the Temple of Peace, or the town of, I've forgotten its name already, Saria, or Saria. And you know what I'm going to say next. There's always a choice. Now, on this occasion, I'm choosing to continue on the way of the way, but in a slightly spiritual double entendre. Each moment, each day, we choose our way. All I will say is that we can choose the way of being separate little selves, or we can choose the way of being una chispa, I like this word, a spark of the divine, having a human experience. And that's my choice for this blissfully happy Sunday morning. After a little lunch stop, I have stopped in this glade just to disrobe a bit, because as we're going down it's getting warmer, and so I'm in my shorts now. But isn't memory and recollection of a place a wonderful thing? Not that I've been here before, you understand, but this very particular place with the green moss and the trees and the path and the slope, somehow it takes me right back to when I was a boy of about 8 or 10, and we had a caravan on a farm in the beautifully named Apley Bridge. Oh, the Fairy Glen in Apley Bridge, I beg your pardon. The Fairy Glen in Apley Bridge, and we used to go near Wigan in Lancashire, and we used to go there often in the summer weekends, and there were 5 kids, so how on earth, I'm sure we put a tent up outside, but how we managed 5 kids and a mum and dad in a pretty rickety caravan, which was, it stayed on the farm, we didn't tow it. It was Mr. Hunter's farm, and he was a proper old school farmer, a bit like our farmer John. And I remember well watching the swallows dip into the Shipham where they'd built their nest in the eaves of the cowshed. And we used to float poo sticks down the stream under the wooden bridge. And in the summer, when the ferns were in full growth, the fronds were fully expanded, I loved to run helter-skelter down the slopes of the, we call them the fern hills, until your legs gave way and you just took a tumble and rolled over and over down the hill in the ferns that kept you sort of safe. And I had a favourite apple tree, I remember, and my favourite thing to do would be to climb to the top of the apple tree and sit on a bough and look out over the top, the canopy of leaves over the local countryside. as I remember it, for hours on end. That I was happy as a sandboy. That's what I love to do. I think, to be honest, just reflecting on it, 7 in a caravan in a tent probably, it was my way of escaping into a quiet place, literally above the noise of 5 brothers and sisters and mum and dad. Anyway, I'm sure you've got your own favourite places of escape, or perhaps quiet reflection, and this glade has just reminded me of mine. The Fairy Glen in Apley Bridge, Wigan. That's a happy sign for me. It means I'm going in the right direction. It's like the yellow brick road, only it's white. It's a fabulous morning this morning. Met lots of lovely people, but walking solo, making the most of it because I am told by the locals wet weather's on the way. But whilst we have the sun, we shall have a smile. And when it's raining, won't we? It's Sunday afternoon, goats party. Here they come. They know how to have a goat time. I could play you some music. Living on the edge, perhaps. Living in a cardboard box. What do you think? Oh, you think you'll have a scratch? Hello. You're all dressed up with your earrings on, I see. Well, I hope I'm not disturbing you too much. I'm going to go and find a cold drink now. Enjoy. I must tell you, this is such a great morning to go walking on the Camino. Look at the bright light, the good path ahead. It's mostly level, a little downhill into the next town after a couple of days of quite strenuous up, to be honest. We got up to 1,250 metres. That's a climb of about 1,000 metres, and honestly I found it hard on the knees, especially coming down, but hey ho, today's another day and everything seems possible. Well, I have just entered the town of Sarria, which has got everything going for it. It's a Sunday afternoon. The only places open are the hostels and the bars, which is understandable. It's the Camino way. And a number of people who I have already met or come across or befriended me, or I befriended them on the walk so far, who are staying here tonight. It's only about 2:30. But I am moving on. I'm going to shake this town off, and let me tell you why. A couple of reasons, and you might not like me for this. It is what's called. Hola. Buenas. Oh, I could have a drink with that woman. Oh dear. This is Semana Santa, and so a lot of young urban professionals I've already met some from Madrid and from Barcelona today. They've taken the week off and packed a few branded, logoed items in their expensive backpacks, and you can walk just the last few stages of the Camino and get your pilgrim passport stamped not as if you'd done it all, but that, you know, you've arrived in Santiago, which is obviously cheating. You and I know that. But the other aspect is I've been overtaken. Naturally, that's not a problem, by lots of young professionals. See how I'm pigeonholing people? It's pigeonholing people. I don't know them from Adam. And it's muchas palabras, just constant chat and everything going by unnoticed. I can't look at things and chat to somebody at the same time, can you? Anyway, no judgment there then, Phil. The youth shall inherit the bars, and as for me, I'm going to walk on to the next little town, which is about an hour away, because I suspect that when evening comes, the bars here will be filled with the youngsters. Listen to me, blooming old codger now. The bars will be filled with the young folks chattering away, and I don't want to sound like a killjoy, but I'd rather not. I would just like a glass of wine and a meal. And the other reason why I'm passing through Sarria, not staying here, and just going on another 5 kilometers, which is not like me because my eggs are aching. I can't speak. My eggs are aching, and so I would welcome stopping right now, especially to have a drink with that very beautiful young woman who waved at me. But I'm going on, fool that I am, to a smaller place, and to just get an extra 5 kilometers under my feet. And I'll tell you why. All the locals say the weather's going to turn tomorrow, and we're going to have a few days of very wet weather. And what would you rather walk in for an hour? This lovely sunny afternoon sunshine, or when it's pouring it down with rain, even though it's Spanish rain? I won't mind, I've got the gear, but it's a choice. And you know what I say about a choice, it's just a choice. So on we go. I will stop somewhere for a glass of fresh orange juice, which is my favourite here. Here we go. Here's the sign again, you can't go wrong. But look at the size of this hotel. I'll just give you a quick glance. And so I think you know me well enough by now to know that this is not my sort of place. How it's spelt. Sarria. Well, it might be Sarria. This is where I had my evening meal this Sunday evening. I had a very tasty Italian lasagna and red wine. And I also did a dance in a flamenco style to the Galician bagpipe player, which seemed to be appreciated by all of the pilgrims. Now it's bedtime.